If you are wondering whether or not you should form an LLC for your business, then stick with me because today I'm going to share with you the 6 scenarios in which you most definitely should set up an LLC like yesterday. Ready? Let's do this. Hey gang, welcome back. My name is Jim. I am an online business lawyer and YouTube entrepreneur. And on this channel, we explore the practical tools and strategies that you can use to start, build, grow, and yes, of course, legally protect your online business so that you can have freedom of time, freedom of location, and freedom of money. And so something that's come up recently for me is a lot of my students and a lot of my clients and people that get on strategy calls with me, a lot of times one of the biggest things they want to talk about is, do I need an LLC? Should I form an LLC? And today I want to share with you 6 scenarios in which you absolutely should form an LLC for your online business. And I think it's important that you start asking these questions because the reason why they're asking about should they set up an LLC is, number one, they see the benefits of forming an LLC, and then they want to make sure they're doing things the right way legally, and they want to make sure their assets are protected, and they want to make sure they're protected in the event they get sued. And these are all things that an LLC can do for you. But unfortunately, as you're starting to build and grow that online business and you're getting busier and busier in the business, chances are you're just not quite sure what to do, legally speaking. And what you found is that lawyers are expensive. There's a ton of conflicting information online in different Facebook groups and podcasts and other YouTube videos on this subject, and you just aren't sure who to trust and whether or not Google is really the place to be going for your legal information. So a lot of you end up doing basically nothing. But this isn't really a strong option because when you do nothing, what you're doing is you're putting your personal assets at risk. You probably are going to be costing yourself a whole lot of money in taxes that you don't really need to pay. And if you do decide to move forward on your own, you might be inadvertently making a mistake, either a legal mistake or messing up some paperwork or doing something wrong. And that isn't good either. Because when you make those mistakes, you're basically invalidating the legal protections that you are trying to get by forming the LLC in the first place. I know a lot of you who have watched a lot of my videos already know this, but for those of you that are new here, I am an online business lawyer. I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of people set up their LLC and set up their business legally online. And so I think I have a little bit of experience talking about this stuff. So I'm probably better than your average Google search. I'd like to think I'm better than your average Google search. I think I'm better than your average legal Google search. So the first scenario in which you need to have an LLC for your business is when you're just getting started. And I realize this sounds kind of crazy and maybe a little bit stupid and also somewhat counterintuitive to some of the other videos that I posted out there. But my ideas about when you should start an LLC have really changed over the past several years. And I think it's really important that you set it up at the very beginning. And there's some other reasons for that I'm going to go into. But one of the most important reasons is that if you operate your business for 6 months or a year and you're doing it as a side hustle, hoping that you're going to be successful one day, but not really sure what's going to happen, and you don't set up your LLC, chances are if you're making some revenue, if you decide you want to start that LLC later, you can't go back and like retroactively start your LLC. So if it's like October and you realize, oh shoot, I made a lot of money this year, I need to file for S Corp status. Oh, I can't do that as a sole proprietor. Shoot, I should set up that LLC. I'm just going to make it retroactive to January 1st. No, you can't do it. It's active as of the date that you file your articles of incorporation. You can go forward, but you can't go back. So it's important that you get that LLC started ASAP. So that's number 1, when you're just getting started. Number 2 is, let's say you've already started your business, but you're doing it as a sole proprietor. You don't really know you're doing it as a sole proprietor, but you are. And you're running everything through your personal bank account. That's a bad idea. So if you are out there and you're like, yeah, that's me. I'm running my business through my bank account, and you've got a Stripe account set up and all the payments are going to your personal bank account. Maybe you've got PayPal set up, all the payments are going to your personal bank account. whatever it is you're doing, everything's going in your personal bank account. That's probably not a smart move. And so you want to go ahead and set up your LLC. Now, do you absolutely positively have to? No, but go back to what I just said in the first reason why you need to set up your LLC. It's important to get that started from the beginning. And so I would go and set up your LLC. You could get an EIN number and set up a business bank account that way as a sole proprietor. But again, I don't recommend it. If you're going to go through all that hassle, do it right the first time and just take the extra step and set up your LLC, get the EIN number, and then move forward from there. And now I gotta go get the dogs. All right, before we go any further, I need to take a sip of coffee. Today we've got the Need Your Space mug, one of my faves. The next reason kind of goes hand in hand with number 2. If your business is making between $25,000 to $50,000 in net profit per owner per year, you are quite literally leaving money on the table. Am I saying that right? No. You are quite literally throwing money away to the IRS every year because you have not elected to be taxed as an S corporation. But you can't do that if you don't have an LLC. So once you set up your LLC, you can elect to be taxed as an S corporation. Again, this is one of those things where the LLC can only go back to the effective date of your LLC. So if you realize 10 months into the year that you're gonna make a lot of money that year and you have not set up your LLC, you're kind of SOL. So it's important that you go ahead and set up that LLC as soon as possible so that you don't have to worry about that, so that you can go ahead and file that S Corp election and then you can backdate the S Corp election to the effective date of the LLC, but you can't backdate the LLC, if that makes sense. All right, the next reason is if you are a high-risk business. And what is a high-risk business? A high-risk business, maybe you are you work with people like a physical therapist, or you're giving financial or stock or legal or accounting or some sort of advice online, medical advice, health-related advice, anything like that online through an online course, potentially any type of business where there's a high likelihood that you could get sued. And now, yes, you can protect your personal assets with insurance, but here's the thing. If you're a sole proprietor, you don't have any corporate shield, right? Like somebody can sue you, and when they sue you, they get access to everything. So they might get access to the insurance, but they might get access to everything else you have as well. Versus if you have an LLC, you can still buy insurance for the LLC, assuming that you've handled everything correctly and they can't pierce the corporate veil. That's all that the plaintiff is going to get from you if they would have to sue you. And so this is a situation where if you are at high risk of getting sued and the damages could be high, then you definitely want to make sure you have that LLC in place so that you can protect all of your personal assets from any potential lawsuits. All right, number 5 is if you have partners. And this is one situation where it's really no question. You have to set up an LLC. And the reason for that is if you do not have an LLC, then you basically are running your business as a partnership. And you're going to be at the whims of the partnership statute in your state. Now, most states have adopted the Uniform Partnership Act. Some states haven't, but basically what happens with a partnership is if your partner goes and embezzles money or steals from clients or does something else, then that client can come and sue the partnership, which means, so if your partner were to take all the money from the business and then take off for parts unknown, then the client can sue you and now reach not only all your business assets that you don't have because your partner took them all, but can also get all of your personal assets as well, because there's something called joint and several liability, which means you're just as liable as your partner was. Versus if you have an LLC in place, then you can limit your liability to your own actions. So if your partner in the LLC did all these things, then you would only be personally liable to the extent that you were actively involved in the wrongdoing, if that makes sense. It's a little bit tricky, but basically what you need to know here is with an LLC in place, your liability is limited to your own actions and your own investment in the LLC. And the next one is that you're looking to replace your day job with a legitimate online business. And if this is something you're looking to do, then you really need to set up an LLC. Because if you're running your side hustle as a side hustle and not as a legitimate business, meaning that you don't actually have an LLC in place, then you're really not taking yourself seriously and you're not taking your business seriously. And you're never going to go anywhere if that's the plan. So it's important that you invest. It's really not that expensive to set up an LLC, but invest that small amount of money, get your LLC set up, and then operate your business through the LLC. And then I can tell you there's all sorts of other ancillary reasons why you might want to do this. For example, my wife and I, we're moving to Portugal in July. I've seen a lot of other people that are applying with their visa, and it's really important that you have that LLC set up so that you can show a regular salary. If you decided, like we're doing, that you wanted to move someplace else, and for some reason you need to show a salary from that business, if you don't have that LLC in place, you're not going to be able to show that. I know people who want to purchase properties, and they are running their business as a sole proprietorship. If they decide to set up their LLC a year in, and they want to use income from that LLC to purchase a property, typically you need to show 3 years of tax returns. And so you need to have that in place. And so there's really no reason to wait in setting up your LLC. There's all sorts of reasons why it's a good idea, way beyond all the reasons that I put it in this video. So it's just important to get your LLC set up. Don't wait. Don't mess around with it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Not only is forming that LLC, it's going to protect your personal assets. It's going to help potentially protect you from your partners if you do have a partnership. It could save you. I've talked to people who literally, by electing to be taxed as an S-Corp after having a strategy call with me, save them tens of thousands of dollars in taxes because they took that one small step. But you can't do that if you don't have an LLC. And then of course, it's going to give you some self-confidence that you're actually running a legitimate business and not just a side hustle that, is maybe a hobby business. And I can tell you there's that mental shift that goes in place when people actually form that LLC, because now they realize, oh, I've got a business. This is not just a hobby. This is something that I'm doing to actively make money for myself and support my family. And that is so powerful and something that you really should think about before you make the decision to just stay a sole proprietorship. So if you like this video about why you need an LLC for your online business, you're gonna love this other video I put together right here. This is actually a playlist of some of my most popular videos about LLCs. Thank you so much for watching, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.